Heartland Season 19 Episode 1 doesn't open with comfort or calm. It throws Amy, Nathan, and the entire Heartland family right into the fire. So, let's start with Amy and Nathan because let's be real, that's the romance everybody's watching. From the very beginning of Episode 1, you can feel the weight sitting on Amy's shoulders. She's standing at a crossroads, torn between her heart and her history. Ty's absence is still loud in her life, and Nathan, no matter how much he tries, can't quiet that echo. It's not that Amy doesn't care for him, it's that her love for Nathan comes with a shadow, a reminder of what she's lost before. And this isn't just some small insecurity. This is the type of fear that eats away at every smile, every quiet moment, every chance she has to let happiness in. Amy is scared that if she opens her heart again, life will rip it away like it did with Ty, and when she looks at Nathan, she sees not just a man who cares for her, but also a test she's not sure she's ready to face. Now Nathan isn't blind. He feels this too. Episode 1 makes it crystal clear that Nathan knows Ty is a ghost in every room he walks into. And what makes it worse? He's not just competing with Ty's memory, he's fighting against his own bloodline. His sister is back, and if you thought she was just a side character, think again. From the second she steps in, you realize she's here to stir chaos. She doesn't just want control of Nathan's world, she wants to rip apart the fragile balance Amy and Nathan worked so hard to build. And trust me, she knows exactly where to hit them where it hurts: their loyalty to family, and their responsibility to the ranch. And here's the thing that hits hardest: Nathan's sister isn't just some outsider. She's tied to Amy's family in ways that cut deep. The writers are clever here. They don't just bring her back as the difficult sibling, no. They give her history with Amy's mother, planting her right in the middle of Heartland's legacy. That history makes her more dangerous because every move she makes feels personal. You're left asking, is she here to protect her brother? Or is she here to sabotage everything Amy and Nathan have tried to create? Episode 1 also doesn't shy away from pushing Lou into the spotlight. And Lou doesn't hold back either. She knows exactly how high the stakes are with Heartland Ranch. And she makes it clear she'll do whatever it takes to protect it, even if it means standing in the way of Amy's happiness. There's a moment where Lou practically spells it out: if Amy has to lose Nathan to save the ranch, then so be it. That's a brutal position to take, but at the same time, can you really blame her? At the end of the day, Heartland Ranch isn't just land and horses, it's their history, their blood, their entire identity. And losing that just for a romance that might not even survive the weight of family drama? Lou refuses to let that happen, and this is where things start to feel like a ticking time bomb. You've got Amy holding back her feelings because she's scared of loss. You've got Nathan trying to prove himself but being pulled down by the very family he thought he could trust. And then Lou is standing in the corner, ready to make the hard call, even if it shatters Amy's heart in the process. Episode 1 plants all these seeds in just the first hour, and you can already feel how messy, how heartbreaking, and how intense the season is about to get. Now, let's talk about the real fire starter in this premiere: Nathan's sister. From the very first scene she appears in, you can tell she's not here to play nice. The way she carries herself, the way she speaks, it's like she's already decided she knows better than everyone else. And that attitude? It doesn't just rub Amy and Lou the wrong way, it completely tears apart Nathan's fragile peace. Remember, Nathan finally started finding some balance last season. He had Amy by his side, he was figuring out how to juggle his sick father's care, and for once, the ranching business didn't feel like it was going to crush him. But the second his sister steps back in, all that balance goes up in smoke. What makes her dangerous is not just that she's ruthless, but that she's smart. She knows compromise means weakness. And she believes any softness Nathan shows, especially toward Heartland Ranch, makes him vulnerable. She's the kind of person who looks at kindness and sees it as a flaw. And you already know that's going to clash with everything Heartland stands for. Amy sees ranching as more than money. She sees it as a way of life, a family legacy. Nathan's sister? She sees it as a power game. And that clash of values is exactly why she becomes a threat not just to Nathan, but to Amy's entire world. The premiere makes this crystal clear when Nathan tries to reason with her. He tells her straight up that cooperation between the ranches is the only way both families can thrive. But she doesn't budge. Instead, she throws it right back in his face, basically saying he's grown weak because of Amy. That's the moment you realize this isn't just about land or livestock, it's personal. She wants to cut Amy out of Nathan's life because to her, Amy represents everything that keeps Nathan soft. It's twisted. But it also makes her one of the most dangerous people we've seen in Heartland in a long time. Meanwhile, Amy is stuck in the middle of the storm. She wants to support Nathan, but the ghosts of her past won't stop creeping in. Ty's memory lingers over every single choice she makes. And it's like the universe keeps testing her. In episode 1, we see how heavy this trauma still sits with her. She hesitates when Nathan gets too close, she second-guesses her own feelings. And she even wonders if opening her heart again is just asking for another heartbreak. And honestly, can we blame her? After losing someone she thought she'd spend forever with, it makes sense that she's terrified of letting herself feel again. But at the same time, you can't help but root for her, because you see how much she wants to move forward. She wants Nathan, but she's scared life will take him too. And here's where it gets even more complicated. Nathan feels that weight. He isn't just fighting his sister, he's fighting Ty's shadow too. There's this raw, tense moment where Nathan finally admits how hard it is to constantly be compared to someone who isn't even here anymore. He lashes out, not because he doesn't care, but because he feels like he'll never measure up. That moment of honesty cuts deep because it reminds us that Nathan isn't perfect either. He has his own insecurities, his own scars. And now he's stuck in a relationship where he feels like the replacement rather than the choice. And as if that wasn't enough, Caleb finds himself dragged into this drama too. Nathan sees Caleb as another man who has lived in Ty's shadow. Another person who tried but could never live up to what Ty meant to Amy, and he's right in a way. Because no one will ever replace Ty, but here's the twist: Caleb seems more settled now. He's serious about his new relationship, trying to move on for real. But if you're paying attention, there's still that unspoken feeling that if Amy gave him even the smallest sign, he would run straight back to her. It's heartbreaking, honestly, because you can see how much Ty's ghost still haunts not just Amy, but every man who's ever tried to love her since. This is what makes episode 1 so heavy. It doesn't just set up a new romance or a new conflict. It reminds us that Amy's story is layered with pain, love, family, and history. And those layers aren't going away anytime soon. And with Nathan's sister stirring the pot, Lou ready to sacrifice Amy's happiness for the ranch, and Caleb standing quietly in the background, this whole situation feels like it's seconds away from exploding. If you thought all the tension was only circling around Amy and Nathan, episode 1 makes sure to remind us that Heartland Ranch itself is never safe from drama. One of the most shocking moments early in the episode comes when Jack's car is vandalized. And let me tell you, it doesn't feel random. The way it's done, the timing of it, it all feels like a deliberate warning. Jack has always been the heart of the ranch, the anchor that holds everyone steady. So when something happens to him, it shakes the entire family. Seeing his car destroyed sends a chilling message. Someone wants to rattle the Heartland family, and they're not afraid to hit below the belt. And here's where things get interesting. Jack doesn't brush it off. Usually, he's the type to tough it out, act like nothing can break him. But in episode 1, you can see that this attack hits him hard. It's not just about a broken car. It's about what it symbolizes. If someone is bold enough to vandalize his property, what's next? His home, his ranch? His family? That fear seeps into the atmosphere, and suddenly every small noise, every unexplained problem feels like part of something bigger. I can't lie, it leaves you uneasy. Because Jack isn't just another character, he's the foundation of Heartland. And if the foundation starts to crack, what does that mean for everyone else? At the same time, we see another layer of tension when Jack ends up in the hospital. Now, here's the part that had me thinking. The trailer teased a scene with Jack and Lindy in what looked like a hospital. But episode 1 keeps it vague on purpose. Is it just a horse-related accident? Or is this foreshadowing something more serious with Jack's health? The way they film it, the way the family reacts, it feels like more than just a casual trip to there. It feels like a warning that Jack's storyline this season is going to test us emotionally in ways we haven't seen in a while. And honestly, my heart is already breaking at the thought. But even as the shadows loom, Heartland still gives us those sparks of warmth and joy. The premiere teases a stunning Indian wedding, bright colors, laughter, traditions blending into the ranch backdrop. It's beautiful, but it's also mysterious. The second you see it, the questions flood in. Who's getting married? Why here? From behind-the-scenes rumors, a lot of fans believe Gergie might be the bride. And if that's true, then where does Quinn fit into this picture? What happened between them? If she's marrying someone else, then Quinn's absence suddenly becomes a huge unanswered question. And you know Heartland, they never drop big moments like this without a twist waiting down the line. Now, the wedding itself might look like a celebration, but symbolically, it plays like a sharp contrast to everything else going on. On one side, you have love blossoming, commitment being celebrated, families coming together. On the other, you have Amy and Nathan, barely holding on to each other while their families threaten to tear them apart. That split makes the whole episode even more dramatic, because you're constantly flipping between joy and dread. It's almost like the writers are daring us to hope for Amy and Nathan, only to remind us how fragile that hope really is. And don't forget, while all this is happening, Lindy is quietly carrying her own fears. She may be young, but she isn't blind. She knows her mom's heart is divided and she's terrified of losing her the same way they lost Ty. That's such a heavy burden for a child, and it makes every scene with her hit harder. Lindy doesn't just represent Amy's daughter, she represents Amy's responsibility. The one thing that could make or break her decisions about Nathan. Because let's be real, how many single parents can balance raising a child, healing from grief, and opening their heart to a new romance? It's almost impossible, and Amy knows it. Lindy's fears aren't just background noise. They're another reminder that Amy's choices ripple far beyond herself. By the end of episode 1, you can feel that everything is hanging by a thread. Jack's safety is in question, Nathan's sister is tightening her grip, Amy is haunted by Ty's shadow, and Lindy is quietly pleading for stability in a world that never stops shaking. It's intense, it's heartbreaking, and it sets the stage for a season that feels like it will test every single character in ways we haven't seen before. Episode 1 doesn't just set up drama, it makes sure every single character is pushed to their limit. And you can already tell this season isn't going to let anyone off easy. Nathan, in particular, feels like he's being pulled apart from all sides. On one hand, he's trying to prove himself to Amy, show her that he's worth the risk of opening her heart again. On the other, he's battling his sister, who refuses to compromise and is willing to drag their entire family legacy through the mud, just to prove her point. The heartbreaking part? Nathan is caught in that impossible position where no matter what choice he makes, someone he loves will feel betrayed. If he sides with Amy, he risks cutting ties with his sister. If he sides with his sister, he risks losing Amy forever. And that's exactly the type of no-win situation that makes this story so addictive. You can't see a clean way out for him. Amy isn't doing any better. Her romance with Nathan is supposed to feel like a fresh start, but instead, it's becoming another battlefield. Her family is looking at Nathan's sister as the enemy. Lou is openly saying she'd rather sacrifice Amy's love life than the ranch. And Ty's memory keeps whispering doubts in her ear. Imagine being in Amy's shoes. Every single direction feels like loss. If she fights for Nathan, she risks hurting Lou and putting Heartland at risk. If she steps back from Nathan, she breaks her own heart and reinforces the idea that she'll never find happiness again. It's brutal because you can see how badly she wants to move forward. But every obstacle feels heavier than the last. And this is where Lou's role becomes really interesting. Usually, fans are split on Lou. Sometimes she comes off as controlling or overbearing. Other times she's the backbone of the family when nobody else steps up. In episode 1, she leans fully into that protector role, but at a cost. By saying she's willing to sacrifice Amy's romance for the good of the ranch, she basically declares that the family's survival outweighs Amy's happiness. And honestly, as cold as it sounds, it's hard to argue with her logic. The ranch isn't just a business, it's generations of blood, sweat, and sacrifice. Giving that up for love, especially a love that's still new and fragile, Lou won't even consider it. But what makes it heartbreaking is that her stance forces Amy into yet another corner. It's not just her own fears holding her back now, it's her sister, too. Meanwhile, Caleb's presence in episode 1 is subtle but telling. He's building his own life, trying to move forward, but you can see the cracks. He's there during those tense moments, quietly watching Amy and Nathan struggle. And even if he doesn't say it out loud, you can feel that old connection between him and Amy is still alive. And the truth is, Caleb has always been the almost her partner, almost her future, almost the one. But Ty's memory cast too long of a shadow, and Caleb never stepped fully into that space. Still, you can't shake the feeling that if Amy gave him even a single sign, all of that almost could come rushing back. That silent tension makes every interaction heavier. Because it's not just Nathan fighting against Amy's fears, he's also fighting against a history of men who tried and failed to measure up. And then there's Lindy. She's not front and center in every scene, but the impact she makes is powerful. Watching her express her fear of losing her mom the way she lost her dad is gut-wrenching. It's the kind of honesty only a child can bring, simple, pure, but devastating. Lindy's perspective is the emotional heartbeat of episode 1. She doesn't care about land deals, rival ranches, or complicated love stories. She just wants her mom safe, happy, and present. And when you hear her voice those fears, it hits you that Amy's choices aren't just her own anymore. Every risk she takes with Nathan, every argument she has with Lou, every moment she spends doubting herself, Lindy is watching, absorbing, and worrying. And that weight makes Amy's decisions even more impossible. By the end of the episode, you're left with this uneasy feeling, like the ground under Heartland Ranch is starting to crack. Jack's safety is in question, Nathan's sister is ready to go to war, Lou is preparing to make the hardest calls, and Amy is stuck in the middle of it all with no clear way forward. It's the perfect setup for a season that promises heartbreak, tough choices, and battles that won't leave anyone untouched. The final stretch of episode 1 makes one thing crystal clear: this season isn't about easy answers. It's about testing how much the Heartland family can take before something finally breaks. The last scenes are packed with tension, leaving you questioning what direction everyone is headed in. Nathan, for one, is pushed to his limit. After clashing with his sister, you can see the frustration boiling over. He's not just angry at her, he's angry at the fact that he can't seem to protect Amy from the chaos his family keeps bringing. He wanted to be the man who gave her peace, but instead, he's dragged her deeper into conflict. And you can tell it's tearing him apart inside. Amy, on the other hand, is stuck in that painful space between hope and fear. There are quiet moments where you see her want to reach out to Nathan, to lean on him, to trust him with her heart. But then you see that flicker of doubt, the shadow of Ty that refuses to let her feel safe. It's like she's standing in the doorway of her own happiness but can't bring herself to step through. And that hesitation is dangerous because Nathan feels it. The more she hesitates, the more insecure he becomes. And let's be real, how long can a relationship survive when both people are carrying ghosts they can't put down? Lou's stance only sharpens that divide. She ends the episode in full protector mode, more convinced than ever that Amy's romance with Nathan is a risk the family can't afford. Watching her lay it out so bluntly, choosing the ranch over her sister's love life, is harsh. But it sets the stage for a season-long clash between the sisters. Lou isn't a villain here. She's practical even if it makes her look cold. But from Amy's perspective, it feels like betrayal. And that's where the tension lies, not in who's right or wrong, but in how far they're willing to go to defend what they believe matters most. Jack's situation keeps the dread alive, too. The vandalism of his car, the unsettling trip to the hospital, the weight in his eyes, none of it feels random. Episode 1 drops just enough hints to make you think something darker is brewing. Something that could put not just Jack, but the entire family in danger. And the fact that Jack is usually the one holding everyone steady makes this even scarier. If he falls, the ripple effect could be devastating. It's a reminder that this season isn't afraid to hit us where it hurts. And then, just when you think the episode is going to leave us drowning in conflict, it gives us one final bittersweet moment. Amy and Nathan find themselves together, standing in the wreckage of all the drama swirling around them. And even though the problems are still there, the sister, Lou's harsh words, Ty's shadow, they lean into each other, if only for a moment. It's quiet, it's fragile, but it's real. That embrace doesn't erase the challenges ahead, but it shows that at the very least, they're still willing to try. And maybe, just maybe, that's enough to keep hope alive. But don't be fooled, the writers didn't give us that scene for comfort. They gave it to us as a contrast, a reminder that love at Heartland never comes without battles. And if episode 1 is any indication, those battles are only going to get harder from here. Between Nathan's ruthless sister, Lou's tough choices, Jack's looming struggles, Lindy's quiet fears, and Amy's haunted heart, this season is shaping up to be one of the most emotional and unpredictable rides Heartland has ever taken us on. And honestly, I can't wait to see how far they'll push it. And just when you think things can finally calm down, the episode pulls the rug from under us again. Remember all that energy swirling around Amy, Nathan, and now Charlotte's entrance? Well, it's not over. As night falls, the ranch feels heavy, like a storm's about to break. Even though the skies are clear, Jack sits outside, looking at the horizon, almost like he knows trouble's brewing. And honestly, that scene hits different. It feels like Heartland is telling us, don't get too comfortable. Because peace never lasts long here. Amy, though, can't shake the feeling that Nathan's heart isn't fully in it. She notices how his mind seems elsewhere. Like Charlotte's words are echoing louder than anything Amy says. And that silence between them? Way scarier than any fight. Because we all know in Heartland, it's never the shouting matches that break people apart, it's the quiet distance that grows when love starts slipping through fingers. Meanwhile, Lou is still trying to play peacemaker, but you can tell her patience is wearing thin. She's tired of walking the line between family loyalty and her own ambitions, and in this premiere, she starts making choices that could spark even bigger drama later. What if Lou's attempt to fix things only makes them worse? Imagine her siding with Nathan to keep the ranch stable, but in doing so, she drives a wedge deeper between him and Amy. That's the kind of twist Heartland loves to hit us with, the type that makes you scream at the screen. Why would you do that? And then there's Georgie, watching all of this unravel. She's quiet, but don't let that fool you. She's the type to keep everything bottled up until it all explodes at the worst moment. I've got a feeling she's clocking every detail, every shift in Amy's voice, every flicker in Nathan's eyes. The real question is, when Georgie finally speaks, whose side will she be on? Amy's, Nathan's, or her own? The episode closes with something small but chilling, a late-night phone call Nathan takes outside, away from everyone's ears. His voice is low, tense, almost guilty. We don't hear the other side of the call. But we do catch one line before the screen cuts to black. I told you I'd handle it. Handle what? Nathan, handle Charlotte? Handle Amy? Handle something darker we don't even know about yet? That one line changes everything, and it leaves the premiere ending not on comfort, not on family warmth, but on suspicion. So yeah, Heartland Season 19 Episode 1 didn't just set the stage, it lit the fire. Relationships are cracking, secrets are growing, and by the time episode 2 drops, it's clear we're in for a season that's less about healing and more about surviving. And honestly, I think this might be the most dangerous season yet.